We don't see Pakistan as a credible player. I think that the United States has decided to use the services of the facilitation of Pakistan for their own reasons. We have seen in the past how the United States has managed to take problematic states like Qatar and Turkey and use them for the benefit of achieving an agreement with Hamas. So maybe they will use the facilitation services of Pakistan to bring in the serve of diplomacy this time. It's their decision. For us, it is very important to stay in sync with the United States when it comes to the substance and the essence of the outcome we want to see.
So, first of all, I'll begin by asking you, 2-week ceasefire has been announced. How does Israel see it?
Well, we officially declared that we support this ceasefire, and there are going to be negotiations led by the United States. I think this is a great sign that the Iranian regime has basically braked, because they have declared previously that they are not going to agree to negotiate unless they get assurances to a permanent situation in which they will not be attacked. And in addition to that, in the framework of the ceasefire, they have agreed to this they have agreed to remove this travesty of trying to block international waterways. So I think that we are on a good track. The basis for the negotiations is the 15-point plan of the United States, and we are hopeful that after we achieve this removal of two existential threats, both the military and nuclear threat and the ballistic missile production, the massive production of ballistic missiles, that now that we have debilitated the regime, finally they will change course and agree to a path that leads to permanent peace in our region.
Ambassador, Israel has also clarified that it applies only to Iran and not to other fronts like Lebanon. We saw the tweet by your Prime Minister's office. If you can explain about that, sir.
Well, we have the right to defend ourselves in our northern border from the attacks of Hezbollah. In the last few hours, the Israeli Air Force has conducted a massive operation. We removed more than 250 Hezbollah terrorists all around Lebanon. We are very clear that the terms of the ceasefire that have been put forward last year have to pertain. We cannot agree to presence of Hezbollah south of the Litani. They have to be disarmed, and we expect the Lebanese government to play a much more significant role, not just by talking, but also by doing, of removing the capabilities of Hezbollah, so we can be sure that our communities in the north won't be attacked again.
Sir, has Israel achieved its key military goals against Iran and allied groups, or is this still an evolving campaign? What is Israel's immediate military objective right now?
Well, as we stated at the beginning, we started this operation in order to remove two existential threats: the nuclear intentions of Iran to break out a nuclear arsenal. So we hit hundreds of targets around the nuclear program, not only Natanz, but many other sites, including sites in which they were doing the R&D, including conversion sites, including sites that were used in order to build the device, the nuclear device, and the heavy water installation, the plutonium track, hundreds of targets. So that was achieved, and this is taking Iran back for years when it comes to their nuclear ambitions. Now, when it comes to ballistic missile ambitions, they still have residual capability, and we've seen that we degraded their capability from hundreds of missiles per day that we fired at Israel to only about 10 per day. It's still substantial, but now we want to complement this with diplomacy. And we hope that after this very powerful military strikes that included taking out of more than 10,000 military personnel, taking out of the so-called supreme leader, the top military brass, IRGC, the top intelligence chiefs of Iran were also removed, that this has changed the balance of power in the region, and this will hopefully bring the regime to change course and accept the initiative of the United States.
Right. Ambassador, what conditions must be met for Israel to fully commit to a comprehensive region-wide ceasefire. Is Israel open to extend the ceasefire framework to include Lebanon and Gaza, or are these being treated as separate conflicts?
They are treated separately. We have already a framework agreed by the international community on Gaza. Hamas has to disarm. They have been announced by the Gaza Peace Board that they should relieve their weapons and transfer it to the authorized democratic Palestinian government. If they don't do so, Israel will remain in the buffer zone that we have created, and if they do so, then Gaza will be able to be reconstructed. It has nothing to do with the operation in Iran. When it comes to Lebanon, as I said, we have to achieve a situation in which southern Lebanon will be clean from Hezbollah terrorist infrastructure. That's the responsibility of the Lebanese government. And when it comes to Iran, we hope that this negotiation will lead to the conditions that are part of the 15-point plan. That means no military nuclear capabilities on Iranian soil. That means curbing their ballistic missile program. And that means a full stop to the proliferation of terror in the region, with help for proxies, including transfer of finance and transfer of weapons and the means to produce them. All of that has to stop. If that happens, I think that then all sanctions can be removed from Iran. We can, advance in a path of peace that will also give a chance to Iran to develop itself after many years in which their economy and the resources were hijacked by the regime for the purpose of creating this terrible military machine.
Ambassador, you mentioned about the 15-point plan. Iran today, in fact, put forward 10-point conditions that the US accepted as workable, which included acceptance of enrichment, termination of all IAEA Board of Governors resolution, and also cessation of war on all fronts, including Lebanon. First of all, is there any scenario where Israel accepts limited Iranian nuclear capability?
We don't think that Iran can be trusted after they deceived the international community time and again. They cheated, they didn't fulfill the safeguards agreement, and they occulted undeclared nuclear activity from the IAEA. So I don't think that Iran can be trusted, and therefore we won't agree to a situation in which Iran has a nuclear program that includes enrichment. I think this is the demand of the United States as well. And when it comes to this 10 points, look, the Iranian regime, I think, is very embarrassed. They don't know how to explain to their own supporters how they have been devastated, so they are putting forward this 10-point plan. From the perspective of the United States, I think that it is very clear, and this is coordinated with us, that we see the 15-point plan as workable. And these 10 demands are just, a list of demands that are put on paper. They don't have any relevance in the context of the situation. But it was an off-ramp that the Iranian regime used in order to get to the ceasefire, that they themselves said that they are not going to agree unless they get assurances from the United States and others that they won't be attacked in the future. That didn't happen. We only gave them 2 weeks, and we hope they make a very good use of these 2 weeks, because we are getting tired of giving them chances time and again of negotiating, and they abuse this in order to stall for time. So I think that now, after they have been shown what is the price of continuous aggression and deceit, now hopefully they will become more serious.
And so with Iran having previously restricted or controlled passage through the Strait of Hormuz, which you were mentioning, does Israel see this a tactical pause or a sign of genuine de-escalation? The opening of the Strait of Hormuz conditionally accepted?
The mere fact that they wanted to block it or charge money for it is a travesty. It counters international law. Nobody is going to accept it. Even the Omanis have stated this evening that they are not going to collect money for them. It's ridiculous. So this boomeranged against them. It's not going to work. Nobody is going to accept a situation in which they take control of a natural waterway, which has to remain open under maritime customary law.
And so how do you look at Pakistan's role in the conflict? Also China. Pakistan I'm asking because it doesn't have relationship with Israel, diplomatic relationship. Do you even see Pakistan as a credible mediator, a country which is hostile?
We don't see Pakistan as a credible player. I think that the United States has decided to use the services of the facilitation of Pakistan for their own reasons. We have seen in the past how the United States has managed to take problematic states like Qatar and Turkey and use them for the benefit of achieving an agreement with Hamas. So maybe they will use the facilitation services of Pakistan to bring in the serve of diplomacy this time. It's their decision. For us, it is very important to stay in sync with the United States when it comes to the substance and the essence of the outcome we want to see.
Sir, talking about India now, India has welcomed the ceasefire. How do you look at India's role as far as this conflict is concerned? It has always called for dialogue and diplomacy.
Well, I am encouraged from the fact that the Indian government has released a statement today that they demand the unimpeded movement of ships through the straits. I think that this is the right position to take. And nobody, including India, is not going to surrender to the ridiculous demand of the regime in Iran to put limitations on the straits. I was also encouraged by the fact that many European countries have declared that now the ceasefire is there. They are going to actually contribute to the effort to keep the maritime conduits open.
And so what about the safety of Indians who are living in Israel? We have a lot of construction workers and other people who are living in Israel. And also talking about the Gulf region, we have seen attack when this conflict began, Iranian attack on the Gulf infrastructure. Do you think that during this ceasefire that will reduce, because there were reports that some of the facilities were still hurt?
Well, first of all, I'm happy that all Indian workers in Israel are safe and none of them were killed in this during this operation. Unfortunately, we had 36 Israeli citizens that were killed, out of them 11 soldiers that died in combat in southern Lebanon. I think that all Indian citizens in West Asia are going to be much safer as a result of our operation and the fact that this dark shadow of weapons of mass destruction coming from Iran will no longer cast over the area of West Asia. I think that now that this regime has alienated the Gulf countries and attacked them for no reason, all these countries are going to unite in not only defending themselves but also cooperating with the United States and with us in order to create a much better security architecture that will defend us from future threats.
So talking about Israel's operation in Lebanon, given the fact that there were reports that UN peacekeepers have been caught in crossfires, there were some reports of UNIFIL people. I mean, what assurance can Israel provide to countries like India, which have peacekeepers troops in Lebanon?
Well, we unfortunately have seen reports of 165 incidents in which Hezbollah fired at UNIFIL positions or adjacent to UNIFIL positions. That is completely unacceptable. We are working in coordination with the UN forces in order to try to minimize any harm. We know that unfortunately UNIFIL hasn't been successful in reporting or taking action against the activity, the terrorist activity of Hezbollah inside villages in South Lebanon. As a result of that, the mandate of UNIFIL is going to end next year, and we hope that we will be able to move resources to create a situation in which the Lebanese government will be able to have effective control and will be able to dismantle any terrorist infrastructure. Because despite what they have stated so far, even now, when we had to take action to defend ourselves and our defense forces entered into South Lebanon, we have discovered a lot of Hezbollah terrorist infrastructure, including munitions, including buildings and other things that were directed at our border. And now we are taking very good care to make sure that our communities in the border won't be attacked by Hezbollah forces and will also be immune from anti-tank missiles that were very lethal and caused a lot of injuries and deaths in our border in the past. So the IDF now is taking care of it because the Lebanese government didn't take care of it in contradiction to the commitment.
Ambassador, what does victory look like for Israel in this conflict? Regime change, deterrence, or a formal peace framework?
Well, we have stated very clearly, and I stated that in many interviews that I gave, including to you, that the aims of this operation were the removal of two existential threats, the military nuclear threat and the ballistic missile threat, and we said that we're going to give the Iranian people an opportunity to embrace their future by debilitating the regime. We achieved that. And now that our military action has been exhausted, we are moving to diplomacy. We hope we won't have to go back to military action, but if the Iranian regime gives us no choice, we will do that. I think that ultimate victory is when we achieve sustainable peace. And unfortunately, as long as we have radical forces in our region that are trying to destroy us and that are building weapons in order to execute their plan, it's going to be very difficult to do so. We have to fight together terrorism. We know that India also suffers from terrorism, and we are determined to defeat terrorism as much as we can. When that happens, then I think we will be able to live in peace with our neighbors.
Ambassador, last question. What is the one message that you want to give to Iran, and what is Israel's contingency plan in case the negotiations fail? I hope it doesn't, but in case if it does, the negotiations.
Well, our Prime Minister was very clear that Israel is determined to remove any existential threats coming from regimes like Iran that sworn to destroy us. So either they give up their intentions or they give up their capabilities. We won't agree to a situation in which Israel will be threatened, and we will not hesitate in the future to defend ourselves against such threats.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.